welcome to Conversations with the Candidates. My name is Tammy Daniels. I'm the editor of iBerkshires.com, and we're here in the Northern Berkshire Community Television Studios. This is the first in a series of conversations we're having with candidates for City Council for election 2023. And I have here in the studio with me is Andrew Fitch, Peter Breen, and Keith Bona. I'm going to let them take a couple of minutes to introduce themselves. Andrew is a newcomer, as is Peter. This is their first run for City Council. And Keith Bona is a longtime veteran of the council, so we'll let him go last. So Andrew, tell us a little about yourself.
Gladly, sure. So yes, folks, I'm Andrew Fitch. I'm running for City Council. I am deeply passionate about this city. For one, it has given me such a warm reception with everything that I have done. For two, it has what I see as almost limitless potential. Potential to reconstruct our housing stock so we can create more affordable and safe housing options for everyone. We can fix that. We can fix that problem. We have the potential to get that right if we start now, if we take action now. We have the potential and an opportunity to invest and provide resources and support for our small business community so that they can thrive, so that they can succeed, so that everybody wants to engage with them. We have the potential and the opportunity to reinvest in our decaying infrastructure so that we prevent future disasters from happening and also better our city at the same time. We have the potential and the opportunity to reinvigorate downtown North Adams, to create that vibrancy that was lost with urban renewal and with the closure of Sprague Electric. We can make little changes to downtown to spur that responsible development that I think we need. And I think we have that potential to create an excellent downtown experience where all of our residents, all of our visitors, all tourists coming to town are proud of downtown North Adams, want to spend time in downtown North Adams, want to connect with the small businesses in downtown North Adams, and want to share downtown North Adams with everybody. I'm very excited about these opportunities. I know we need vision, strong vision. I know we need love. I know we need patience, yet persistence. And I know we need action. And these are the things that I would bring to City Council if elected. And I'm confident that I can bring those things. A couple other things. Do I have a little more time?
Well, we'll go back
right.
to. We'll go back to you. Don't worry, Peter.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Peter Breen, and I grew up in the west end of North Adams 70 years ago. I graduated from Drury High School, and then I went on to St. Michael's College, where I graduated in 1975. Mary Ellen Zoido at the time, and I came back to North Adams after college to start our family and to work. And I worked in the business sector for about 20 years. And at that time, a lot of the mills, factories were closing up, and I had to make a decision. Do we move the family to California to other jobs, or do we see what's available in the area? And I was very fortunate that I was able to go back to college. I went to MCLA, received a teaching degree, and I also went to McCann to get certifications for networking and computer science. And I went on for another 20 years teaching computer science and IT network for the Adams school system. That was my second career. My third career, I retired in 2015, and I decided that I wanted to devote my time to two things: my grandchildren, I have 6, and to help the city of North Adams that's been so good to my family. I've been on the I've been on the McCann School Board, and I enjoy being on there, not just because they help me, but they are, in the long run, they are a very important learning institution. Presently, just last week, we broke ground for a new technical major, and it's going to have over 100 kids enrolled in it. It's HVAC and refrigeration. We're building a new building, and we received a grant to build the building, pay 2 years for the teachers, and all the equipment inside. So we've been doing a lot of work down at McCann. The other thing is, I've been on the Hoosick River Revival Board, and for the last year and a half, myself and 4 other people, we've been writing the application for the feasibility study for the Army Corps of Engineers. And we turned it in, and successfully they have begun going around and evaluating what they're going to do for the flood chutes. Along that way, we are setting up sessions for listening. We want all the people in the North Adams to give ideas. What is feasible to go along with the flood chutes, recreation, ecology? They are going to have better flood control than they presently have. And the nice thing is that when it's done and they approve it, it's going to be a $220 million operation. So it's going to bring a lot of good paying jobs, build on our infrastructure. So those 2 items I think are very important for local government. Local government is to help the citizens. With the McCann new major, we'll have kids leaving the program going to get very good jobs. With the Hoosick River Revival feasibility study, it opens the door for the project. There'll be lots of good jobs there. The reason I'm running for city council is that I ran into something. I've been retired for 8 years. I'm on a fixed income. And what I've noticed is money is very, very tight. And what we have to start looking for is ways that the elderly can stay in their homes. Right now, with the taxes, it's high. And being retired, I have lots of time. So I visited a lot of different towns in Massachusetts. And as we talk tonight, I'd like to explain some of the ideas I have to help the elderly in North Adams.
Good, thank you. And Keith?
I think we're out of time now.
No.
I'm Keith Bona. I first ran when I was almost 30 years ago, and I served 8 years. I took 8 years off, and then I've been on since. Served under 4 administrations. They all have different philosophies, different styles, and that will probably continue. You know, it always is changing. The things that come in front of us are always something new, and as we have new counselors rotate in and some rotate off, the environment and the attitudes and the energy that sit on the council change also. And I'm very excited to see that we have a few new faces that are going to be filling seats this year, as I was when I sat on there 30 years ago. That said, it's good to have a mix. It's good to have a mix of counselors that have experience. There were ones on there, Al Martin and Gail Caridi that were mentors when I was on there that helped me along. But at the same time, I don't think, as sort of an elder councilman, it's not something to be discouraging new counselors to say, don't do that, you can't do that, we've tried that. I think, you hear 2 stories tonight of people who want to bring things to the council, and I think we always should be willing to listen to new things. And that being said, I'm probably not going to get too much into myself after this many terms. I know there's some new people out there that maybe moved into areas that don't know me, but if you want to, as many do, you can meet me down at my store on Main Street at Berkshire Emporium, because I get people who come in who like to bring in their tax bills and pothole complaints all the time. So I'm not hiding. I'm right on Main Street, doors open. But I'm going to pass the clock back to Andrew and Peter.
Well, I was just going to ask you one question. Since you've been on there, is this your 5th, 6th consecutive term?
This would be, I don't know, I've lost count.
I had to keep looking it up.
I
Now
want to
can't
think it's
remember.
4, 6, 7th.
7th, okay.
Right?
So,
Alcombright was on 4 or 3?
Yes.
4, and
4.
Bernard was on 2,
2.
and Maxie's on 1.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that's 7.
That's 7,
Yeah.
all right. That's one way to look at it. So as somebody who's been on the council for a long time, and what do you think, if you get reelected, what is it that you would like to see the council take up over the next 2 years?
There's there's some small agenda items which I have numerous emails on file that I have sent probably all the administrations to say, here's something I'd like to see happen, and understanding that things that come forward when they have a cost attached to them, they have to come from the administration. We can't just put something out there that has a cost without the mayor approving it, that wanting it. Otherwise, we can take things off the budget. I mean, there's some smaller elements. I mean, I will agree with some of the things that Andrew has brought up. I think the downtown. Obviously, I'm there, but it's not what some people remember, and it never will be like that. But sometimes the focus gets taken away. But then there's citizens who think there's always everything that's happening is always downtown. So that argument can go both ways. I think as for housing incentives, Peter brought up about what can we do to keep certain things affordable. I did try to bring forward about tax incentives for, rehabilitating homes and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the state does not allow that for our size community. You have to be above 35,000 population to be able to do any kind of tax incentives on housing. And same thing, we have discussed about doing tax incentives and things for the elderly. And again, it's just not things that the state allow. But there are programs and things out there that we can still try for, and maybe they can change at the state level. I don't know if there's anything really specific right now. I think, I'd love to see the energy of what councilors bring in, what other people bring forward. I can't say there's one strong thing that I haven't already tried to bring forward, something new. Right now, I think I just bring a good voice to the council that, you don't. I guess one thing, and again, it can work against me, I tend to be a little bit more pro-business. But when I say pro-business, it's not pro-Walmart, it's pro, mom and pop. I mean, the majority of the businesses in town are small. Right. So when it comes to tax time, which I've been criticized for, but I tend to try to bring our commercial rate down. Our commercial rate is out of whack. And I feel a strong business community creates a strong community throughout the whole, because before COVID, everyone was like, we need jobs, we need people to stay here. And I think right now, our government is not set up to be very attractive pro-business. That's my opinion.
Right. Peter, do you agree with that? Or
What I'd like to see, Keith was talking about the elderly. There's a program, state law now, that works very good. I looked at 14 different towns, and what I saw was that they have programs for the elderly. A good example is they take a piece of the assessed value. So we'll take North Adams. I'd like to see them take 25,000 of the assessed value, the first 25,000, and exempt it. So you would have like 25,000. At the rate now, North Adams, I think is $17.67. So that would come out to $441. So say someone over 65, they would get a reduction by $441 off their bill. And what that would do is, again, with the fixed income, the prescription prices have gone skyrocketing. Just taking care of the house, at that age, you can't mow the lawn or shovel. It's a big chunk of money, and this would offset it. In the second year, what I would like...
Who would make up that $400?
Who would make it up?
All of us.
All of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I have an idea to backfill it.
Okay.
Because it's a two-step process. You can look at, I think it was Brookline that went from $18 a thousand down to $9.95. And what they found was there's a program called Pilot. It's pay in lieu of taxes. And the state came through, and this is about a 12-year-old program. They allow both institutions, cultural and education, to say, okay, I'm not going to be paying taxes because I'm exempt, but let me give you $700,000. Let me buy the fire truck. And all over the state, you see this money that's coming in. It's been very beneficial. If you look at the list of 313 communities in Massachusetts, we rank 17th in having the amount of nonprofit tax base that's going off ours. And if you think about Sprague Electric, you think about, I think of Blackington Street up near the college. That used to be all residential, and those came off the tax base. The science building went in there, and now we have public service servicing that, but there's no tax revenue coming from it. So if you look at these towns, and I've talked to a couple of them, people were a little antsy at first. They said, geez, I don't know if I want to give money, but they said, we actually become part of the community. You see, it was the New England Aquarium. I believe they have like a $25 million endowment, very similar to Massmoka. I think they're at $27 million. They actually have a larger endowment than New England Aquarium. They donate money to pay for things because they realize they're big. The other part is they give free. You can get into the aquarium free if you're from Boston. So that money coming in will offset the elderly because we really have an.
But how does the council do that? That's
It's what the state law says. It's a vote annually by the council.
Okay.
And you can change it from year to year. So if you have one year, you say, oh, we can do a little better, like the second year, I'd like to go to 50,000, so the elderly get back $880 if the rate stays the same. So it's not a law that goes on forever. You can do it. And what it'll do is, when I was
Okay,
walking.
but I want to give
Sure.
Andrew time.
Sure.
So, Andrew,
Hello.
what would you like to do in the next 2 years? Anything specific that you have in mind?
Sure. The broad strokes first, though. I mean, it is clear to me, and also
Yeah.
clear to our Governor Maura Healey, that the biggest challenges facing this state right now, and North Adams included, are affordable housing and the effects of climate change. And so this is also what I am primarily focused on in my response here, with an addition, however, of investing in education and also investing in economic development here, because we do have a higher rate of poverty than much of the eastern side of the state. So some specific things that I would like to do, I would like to explore working with the mayor to create ways that we can stimulate new affordable housing development. And I don't have all the answers right now, folks, but I would like to poke at creating an affordable housing trust. I don't believe we have an affordable housing trust already. I would love to see some of the Airbnb taxes that we collect slid in there, dedicated to that fund, so we can start to find ways to stimulate more affordable housing development. To my knowledge, we are several hundred housing units behind where we need to be. Other areas too, the effects of climate change, some things are already in the works. Peter, I didn't realize that you were involved in Hoosick River Revival, but I'm a big fan of the work that's being done over there. I'd love to still continue to find ways to encourage that and to support that.
I like your idea about the housing, because one thing is, when I was born here, the town was 21,000 people. We are now at 12,000, and the houses didn't go away with the middle adults. We have so many houses. We have housing enough for almost 10,000 people, and there's not a street in North Adams that doesn't have one or two houses starting to fall apart. And my idea, I agree with you. We need to go into the neighborhoods in whatever way. If we just say to people, we're going to give you the house, okay, and you're going to have the ability to bring it up, and it'll get on the tax roll. When Marilyn and I came back, we bought a little tiny house down near the college with no down payment, and it was a farmer's home administration. And we turned it into on the Historic Society register. So I agree. I think building up the housing, because it's hard to have a property, you keep it up, and next door, it's falling
The
apart.
roof is collapsed.
It's got to be taken care of. And
Maybe
it's
it
not,
also talks to blight, because
yes,
obviously trying to get a hold of these properties is extremely difficult and very costly. You have to go through housing court. Anybody who's gone through housing court knows it can take years, literally, to get title on any of these properties. Some we don't even know who owns these houses, because they were mortgaged or remortgaged, and we all know what happened in 2007. So, but I agree that it's going to have to be a public investment for affordable housing. So, but how do we get rid of the blight that's already sitting there? I mean, some of these houses probably aren't even worth fixing up at this point.
Oh, we have. I mean,
Yeah.
so most of the blight that's been torn down over the years has come through, state grants, state funding. And unfortunately, the houses are getting more and more expensive to tear down. I mean, when I sat on council, we were raising houses and they were costing $20,000.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I brought it and put it on the agenda about trying to get these tax incentives for if you bought a house for 20,000 and you were putting 100, 200,000 into it, that it would freeze that assessment at what you bought it for until you either were selling it or renting it or whatever. But again, the state does not allow that. Anytime you do offer an incentive, unless you are, as Peter explained, if you're getting money from somewhere else, you can use for that. But typically, when you offer a tax incentive anywhere, you have to make that up somewhere else. So if you're giving someone $500 off, $1,000 off, so even if you did a tax incentive on a property and it was to be a $100,000 house, it taxed at 100,000, but we're only taxing it at 20,000, you have to make that difference up in the rest of the tax roll. You just can't write it off. But we have torn down a lot of houses, and that's not always the answers, because there are some that I have fought to try to save, and under the Bear administration, there were some beautiful houses that got torn down that I felt to this day would have been some really nice homes. But there is some weeding needed. There are some that are beyond fixing up. There are some that need some land for parking and yards that, we wouldn't have built these streets like that today. I know right now, I think there's a list of about 4 to 7 that are to come down this year, including the burned out one in Houghton Street. And, and there's one that was sold, and the guy came to the city with plans to tear it down, and it sits there, and it is a battle. We go through a lot of legal process to get some of these houses, and we never actually own it. That's the thing. When people look at our city debt, and they see this debt figure that's outstanding, what that debt is actually money that the city spent to tear down buildings. And so let's just say that house on Houghton Street, if that cost $200,000 to raise, that's $200,000 that will go in our debt. We will never get that money back. That property one year might get auctioned for $5,000. You'll never get that money back, but it's needed. It does help raise the other properties that are around it that are hurting. They can't sell it because they're next to one. But there are other incentives. I mean, we used to have a CDC that would help with that, a community development corporation. I would like to see a CDC come back. It
Absolutely.
wasn't under the city. It was a separate component. It worked with the city. It worked with banks. I got my first business loan through that. I got, my first home buyer's loan through that. And, right now we work with one out of the county. So that is something that I would like the city to have back. And sorry, Andrew, back to you.
Yeah.
Quite all right. I'm also very excited about that opportunity. And now, to my understanding, that's not something that the city can just wave a magic wand and say, we're going to have a CDC now. But a CDC, if we can encourage the development of one, and to my knowledge, there's already one that might be in the works. There are some people talking about this right now. Very exciting. We could, however, be encouraging of that. And when it is up and running, we can be strong partners of theirs to help develop affordable housing. A lot of CDCs have a very strong focus on affordable housing development. For example, I'm actually friends with the head of CDC out in the Outer Cape, out in Provincetown, and he's been talking about how, the Franklin County CDC is, I think, what
Yes.
you're alluding to.
FERCog.
We can partner with them, but we don't have one here. We need to have a stronger one here.
I sat on the board for the one that was here.
Did you really?
Yeah, and for 10 years. And, but, they were the ones who got the Mohawk Theater initially going. They actually did some housing projects on Bracewell Ave. and Arnold Place. Arnold Place, those were projects. And then they had the Eclipse Mill before the Eclipse Mill. You know, they had
Right.
projects they were, but again, they rely a lot on state funding, and if it doesn't come through, project.
Well, there's a ton of federal funding out there, like right now, through the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act.
And we don't have a
lot of
CDC
towns-
that can grab it.
Yeah, we don't have the ability to grab that money, so there's a lot of money
Well,
floating out there,
well,
but.
One thing that, with the Army Corps of Engineers, there was a $3 million bill that said, fine, you have this application, but we need a check. Mayor Maxey had to put in $500,000, and with the city council, they approved it. Looking at, it's going to be $220 million of federal money. John Barrett told us, I'll get the $1 million from the state. And he did. He came through with $1 million, and so we had all of the money. We had to have half of that money that was non-federal. So John and Jen made the deadlines. And then Congressman Neal said, I'll get the federal funds for you for it. And it was put in the last Biden Act. On that Friday, they were talking about cutting back. Ours stayed in there. And the nice thing about it is, it stayed in there, and it doesn't say North Adams. What it says is Hoosick River Basin. And they told us 2 days ago that we're going to be announcing, they're going to look from the Vermont border to the New York. They want to do the whole thing.
Yep.
And so that makes so much sense in the western part of North Adams, because there is a lot of Army Corps of Engineer near Greylock School down in that area that needs to be fixed. So,
Well, I think they got a little nervous when they looked at the dam up by the Beaver Mill.
yes.
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 They went and looked at that
Understandably.
and they were like, ooh.
Oh, boy.
But the other part is, if you look, there's a lot of housing that are along the river that's going to get developed very fast. And the city should get together with private developers and people that say, this is a house, it's in disrepair, but auction it or bid it. Let someone live there. Because there's beautiful homes. Almost 30% of our housing was built before 1940.
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous homes that need to be taken. And that'll bring up the population. We'll have kids going to schools, we'll have people working, and it'll reduce the tax rate.
Right. Anything else of interest that you want to talk about?
Tons.
Okay, we still
If
got a little time. We've got 15 minutes, so.
Wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, if I
If
could
you
talk a
want.
little bit about investment and economic development and then the downtown rehabilitation that I was talking about
Sure.
a moment ago. We're a tourist city. We're a tourist town. And I don't think that we always act like a tourist town. I think I talked about opportunity, potential. We have the opportunity to invest further in tourism, and not just arts tourism, but also ecotourism. I mean, this is getting into what you were just saying about the development of the river and the houses along the river being redeveloped probably even first. We have enormous untapped potential with that river, with all the trails that we have around here as well, which, by the way, a lot of them unfortunately need patching up because the effects of climate change. A lot of them have been washed out. So that's an area that we need to focus on as well. And in partnership with what I was saying earlier about the, not always acting like a tourist town, we have an open role right now of director of tourism. And, and there is somebody who works in that office, Lindsay Randall. I love you. I get to work with her on a lot of projects, but she's just one person. And she's also focused on city events and a whole bunch of other areas. So
And she's gone now.
there's no kidding.
Well, she's going to be the
she
mayor's.
is. She's gonna
the
be
mayor's-
mayor's
Oh, is she really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
congratulations, Lindsay. You're going to be fantastic in there too. But so we have a
Always
new
musical chairs in
opportunity.
the city
So there's
hall.
an open seat there.
We have a new opportunity to
you
invest
go.
even more in there. And now, granted, I heard you, Keith. We can't always control the budget as city councilors, but we can work with the mayor and give suggestions and try to find creative solutions so we can free up a little more budget for future investments like this. I see a strong need to double down on that. I also see a strong need to double down on investment in city planning. You know, we can talk, and a lot of us do talk, I've talked with these two, about and I've talked to you actually, about plans to reinvest in downtown North Adams. How can we tie this all together? How can we just shift things from over here to really make everything click together? But there's, to my knowledge, there's no strong person in City Hall other than the mayor, of course, who is focused on that, who is focused on the bigger picture of how all the pieces fit together. And so this is why I spoke about vision earlier. I think we need strong vision, and I think we should consider investing in a city planner, at least in a contracting capacity, to help guide all of this redevelopment.
I agree with you. In our conversation when you applied for the liquor license, I said, I'd like to see Eagle Street closed for the summers, because I do a lot of traveling, and there's always a center that people want to go to, walk to. And, you know, we have the opportunity with the other part of Church Street that you can go back and forth. Winter would be a little different, but during the summer, if people say, oh, let's go down to Eagle Street, let's walk down here, we need to do that. You know, we had 4 days that people went downtown. Why not every day? I mean, it doesn't cost any more, and actually, you get more people, the volume of people go up, the word gets out, and you have music down there.
There
And
were plans to turn that into a new, that German word.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Where it slows down traffic
Slows
and
on-
beautifies,
right.
it doesn't take away
Well,
from
that
any
was the
parking.
latest. Then there was plans that even
Yeah, those
make
are
it-
plans,
that
right.
shut, but to even make, there's old drawings still.
There's old
of,
drawings.
Eagle
Well,
Street.
again, I think it's a problem that we have in City Hall is there are too few people trying to do too many things.
Right.
And the woman who had been sort of shepherding that was a planner, and she left. She left because her boyfriend got a job someplace else, and it did not get filled because other things came up. I think that's a problem. Anybody who's running a small business knows that, and I think the city is like a small business, and you know,
And
a lot of people wear a lot of hats. So it becomes
I remember,
difficult to have,
it goes back 50 years, but I remember what urban renewal, my grandparents had a flower shop in the old Richmond Hotel, and his brother had a clothing store, Roberts Company, on the other corner. And grandfather's brother said, you know what we got to do? We got to build some buildings here. And Tim Breen built the white building on the corner that had the bank and had Roberts Company. And my grandfather and father, they got together with some other people downtown and said, let's build a concourse. And they built the concourse. And they were just young men, you know, flower shop and the stationery store, Dick Lamb's father and Jack Dempsey. And they turned the main street to the other side that was the center of the town for 30 years. And what they need is volume. So again, it comes back to, we get more people in town, they spend more money. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Thursday night.
Yeah.
Thursday night, everybody was downtown every Thursday night because they got paid Thursday afternoon.
Yep.
I've heard of this too.
Yeah.
And
It would be
we
packed.
need to get back there.
Absolutely.
And I think we can do it. And it's not going to cost money. It's just organization. You know, put the pieces together and do it. And that's what we found with McCann. We're already building a building. It's 4 months old, our grant. 4 months. And we're already digging in. We've already got the kids in school. They're in the library, waiting to move into the new building. We need to do action. We need to do things. And I think that's what's going to bring it back.
Agreed.
Yeah. So how does the city council do that? I mean, obviously, the city council has authority only over a few things, but how do you push these things forward?
It's very easy to move things forward. And how we found it with the Army Corps of Engineers is you sit down and say, what are the steps to get here? No different than last night when I was at McCann's, we got 5 experts in the field of the technology that we were doing and said, what equipment do we need to put in this building? What do you use every day? And so the council has to work together. Everybody's got a piece of the action that has expertise. You know, if we all move forward, you know, it's not, I like this idea, this idea. Well, how can we work with this idea? You know, Keith knows the downtown inside out, inside out. You know, and you take that piece. Andrew's the energy. You know, and I'm
got
old.
some.
I'm old, but I've
It's also
seen
the
things.
coffee, by the way.
And I have that time. You know, I can go down to Waltham and say, "How do you do this?" You know, I get in the car. I have a lot of time because all the grandkids are in school, and it's just action. Stop talking, action. And the other thing that's going to happen, as you told us about the new school at Greylock, if we had the population, we could have Brayton still stay open, because elementary school is the center of the neighborhood. It's critical. You know, it breaks my heart to see Sullivan School closed. It broke my heart when Jenny was 5 years old to go to Mark Hopkins. They closed it the week before. Haskins closed. Johnson closed. We build a new school every 10 years, and we close one every 10 years. We have more elementary schools. Dave Morazi did a beautiful job up at Johnson. But Dave Morazi takes care of the buildings. That's one thing that we need, is a director of facilities, someone that can take care of the building. I have seen both the YMCA and Brayton fall apart. We do not do any preventive maintenance whatsoever. McCann School is the same age as Greylock School. If you walk in the two different, you would swear to God they're 100 years apart. We need to take care of our property. We need to take care of City Hall. We need to take care of the library. The library, you go up there, chimneys are falling. What are we waiting for? Till they fall and spend more money? We don't take care of it. Look at the deplorable conditions of Western Gateway. We don't even paint the place. That's horrible. We need to take care of our things. You go down, the cemetery's not taken care of. We need to take care of our property. We just don't do that.
And I'll add in, if I may too, take care of or offload. If we're not able to take care of it, find a way to sell these properties and to give them to good use so that they can be developed responsibly. And also to add on what you said, I love what you said about action. I would also add in a great starting point too is creating relationships, building trust with different partners. For example, with MCLA, to my knowledge, there has been a little bit of a rift there with some of the public and even with some of the members of the city. Finding ways to repair that and bringing everyone to the table, and this is why I mentioned positivity. We really need positivity and responsible engagement. With the residents too, we need to build trust because people here have seen bad action before. They have seen things gone wrong. We talked about urban renewal earlier, for example. That did not seem to be a positive step forward for this city. So I can understand why people might be reluctant to want change. But if they are evangelists of it as well, they will be on board, and this will all be easier.
You look at the police fire department. I could be wrong, my numbers could be off a little bit, but I believe we spent $500,000 putting a roof on that we moved out a year and a half later. $500,000. Now we're in my uncle's old building paying $100,000. It's I believe it's $10,000 a month for the police station there. Why in God's name we don't build the police station and the fire department behind the big Y? It's city property, and the fire department can come down Sperry Avenue and go out Houghton, because you have to have the new regulations. You have to come in one way and go out the other. We could build a beautiful place there. And you look in Williamstown, they're building a fire department. You look in Adams, they built a police station. We just don't, we don't manage our buildings and our money right. Just build the garage and the police station. Think about the police station right across the street from the courthouse. You know, it's very easy to bring people back and forth to policemen and that. Why we don't get started on that? Say it's a $20 million operation to build this building. If we wait 1 year at 5%, it's another $1 million. Just the inflation and things. So we've got, every year we wait, it's gonna be $1 million plus, $1 million plus. If we built this 10 years ago, we'd have saved money. So it's just like our budget, it's $47 million. A 2% increase in our budget is $1 million. Actually, it's 470,000 times 2. It's still $1 million. We've got to fix our budgets. We need more people
Well,
here.
Yeah, okay. And we're going to have to leave it at that. I'm going to give you, quick,
Okay.
give your stump speech of why you should be elected. Go
Well,
ahead.
I'm realizing I did that right off the bat, and so what I'd love to follow up with, if I may, just a little introduction about myself. Folks, I know a lot of you already. For those of you who don't know me, I'm on a couple of city commissions already. I've been involved in our city government already. I'm involved in several different local nonprofits. I'm involved in several different city initiatives, like First Fridays, like North Adams Pride, for example, like putting art in our vacant storefront windows. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm from here. I've lived in a bunch of other places too, and I think I've benefited from those other experiences. I have a master's degree in political science, and I'm deeply involved and passionate about this place. In my spare time, you can find me at the farmer's market because I serve breakfast sandwiches and pies at the farmer's market with my friend. I also officiate weddings for friends and family, and I walk across the state on occasion to raise money for local causes. One more thing, one more opportunity I see us having is a really great constructive council. I'm very impressed with you two, and I'm impressed with a lot of the other candidates as well. And I think if we get this right, we can make a lot of progress over these next 2 years. And I'm very excited about that.
All right, Peter.
Thank you.
I'd like to make change for the better in my hometown, North Adams. The community needs strong schools. We need good paying jobs, and we need to be a friendly city for seniors. Because seniors, we don't want to drive them out of their house because they can't afford it. That's the biggest asset they have. So what we've got to do is work on the neighborhoods to get the tax down. We've got to work on getting infrastructure in here so we have good jobs. And I think between the North Adams school system and McCann's, we are on the right road for schools. We've turned the corner, and we are developing programs. I think it'll be an attractive school. We need to make sure that we have attractive schools for people that are coming here and people that are here.
All right, and Keith.
Yeah, so tonight, we hear, at least 3 different philosophies of different directions, and some of us could go, and some overlap, and some agree. I will say that I've served almost for, I've been on there for 20 years, 20 plus years, and a lot of times things sound a lot easier until you're actually sitting in the seat and you find out, wow, you had to put a $500,000 roof because when there's water pouring through and you don't have an option, you have to do it. And it's not easy because you're spending money that you don't want to, but you're locked, you have to do it. Again, a lot of it is working with the current administration. They control where the money is to be spent, and you have to get them to agree with you, because if they don't agree with you, it just can't happen. So you have to have a good communication with your administration. As for why you should vote for me, actually, I feel you should vote for 9 good candidates. And, if I'm on there or not, so be it. But I do feel vote for 9. Don't just vote for 1 or 4, because we need a strong council. We need a diverse council, is that everybody can bring something different. We got Peter here who can bring some, he's got an education and some business background. Andrew, I think brings a new energy, and while he's been here a few years, it's good to have some people that have not been here their entire life, because they view the city different than some of us who have been. So I thank you for your past support and ask for this election. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us for this program. Again, I am Tammy Daniels, editor of iBerkshires.com. I want to thank Northern Berkshire Community Television for allowing us to do these programs. Look for more programs for election 2023. And remember that you will be voting for 9 people to go on the city council. There are 11 candidates. The election is November 7th. Don't forget to make sure you're registered and don't forget to vote. Good night.